When you have a fraction in your exponent that does not have 1 in the numerator, the denominator of the exponent still tells us what type of root we would have. In the case of a raised to the m over n, we're still going to have an nth root. And then everything except that denominator of n will go under the root. Here we would have under the root a raised to the m. So it's a to the m under the nth root. For example, if we have 9 raised to the 3/2, the 2 in the denominator of our exponent tells us we would have a square root. Under that square root, we would have 9 raised to the 3rd. Now 9 raised to the 3rd is 729, and the square root of 729 is 27. In the case of our next example, the negative of 256 raised to the 3/4, notice the negative is in front of the expression, so it stays in front of the expression. Then 256 raised to the 3/4, the 4 in the denominator of our exponent tells us we'll have a 4th root. Underneath the 4th root, we would have 256 to the 3rd. Now 256 to the 3rd is a rather big number. If I put that into my calculator and then I take the 4th root of the result, I have 64. So negative 64 is the answer of this problem. In the next problem, we have a negative 32 in parentheses raised to the 2/5. Notice that unlike the last problem, the negative is included with the 32 in a parentheses. That means when we make this a 5th root, since there's a 5 in the denominator of the exponent, we'll have a negative 32 in parentheses squared under the 5th root. The denominator of the exponent tells you what type of root it is. Everything, including any parentheses that might be there, except that denominator of your exponent, shows you what goes under the root. Now in this case, negative 32 squared is 1024, and the 5th root of 1024 is 4. For our next problem, 1/4 raised to the 3/2. Remember, when you have a fraction raised to an exponent, you can take the top part raised to the exponent divided by the bottom part raised to the exponent. Here we would have the square root of 1 to the 3rd divided by the square root of 4 to the 3rd. 1 to the 3rd is 1. 4 to the 3rd is 64. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 64 is 8. So 1/8 would be our final answer. The next problem is really just something to make sure you understand how to change from fraction exponent form to root form. 2x plus 1 raised to the 2/7. The 7 in the denominator of our exponent tells us that we will have a 7th root. Everything else except that denominator of our exponent goes under the root. So here our answer would be the 7th root of 2x plus 1 squared. If you would like to try the next problem on your own, which is similar to the one we just did, pause the video now and resume when you're ready to see the solution. For 4x minus 1 raised to the 3/5, the 5 tells us we're going to have a 5th root. And then everything else goes under the 5th root. So we have the 5th root of 4x minus 1 raised to the 3rd.